crushing pain in my chest, radiating down my left arm, up into my jaw. I knew immediately what it was: myocardial infarction, heart attack. "I'm having an MI," I said to my resident. "Call the code team, now." And then, nothing.
I'm a cardiologist. For 20 years, I've stood at the boundary between life and death, watching people cross that threshold hundreds of times. I've shocked hearts back into rhythm. I've performed CPR until my arms ached. I've pronounced people dead and watched families collapse in grief. But I never believed what they said came after. My name is Dr. Khalid Rahman. I'm 42 years old. And this is the story of how I died for 85 minutes and met someone who changed everything. I was born in a devout Muslim family. My father, Ibrahim Rahman, is an imam at one of the most respected mosques in our city. Growing up, I heard the call to prayer 5 times a day. Memorized Quran before I could understand it. Learned that my purpose was to serve Allah and bring honor to my family. I chose medicine because my father said it was the highest calling after religious scholarship. Healing Allah's creation, he called it. Every life you save earns you favor with God. So I studied. Worked harder than everyone else. Got into the best medical school. Specialized in cardiology because the heart, that's where life and death meet most dramatically. I married Layla when I was 27. She was everything a good Muslim wife should be: educated, respectful, devoted to Islam. We had 3 children together: Amira, now 16, and twin boys, Ahmed and Hassan, 13. From the outside, my life was perfect. I was Dr. Khalid Rahman, respected cardiologist. Son of an imam. Husband. Father. A man who prayed at the hospital mosque, who fasted during Ramadan, who gave to charity. But inside, I was empty. The more I saw death in my work, the less I believed what Islam taught about it. I'd been taught that when you die, angels come. Munkar and Nakir. They question you in the grave. If you've been a good Muslim, you rest peacefully until Judgment Day. If not, you're tormented. But I'd watched hundreds of people die. And I never saw angels. Never saw anything that matched what I'd been taught. Just bodies shutting down. Brain activity ceasing. Heart stopping. The end. Except for one time. 3 years before my own death, Christian nurse at our hospital, an Egyptian Coptic woman named Mary, was in a car accident. Internal bleeding. She died in our ICU. I was there when it happened. And as she died, she was smiling. Actually smiling. She looked at something I couldn't see and whispered, "Jesus, receive my spirit." Then she was gone. The peace on her face haunted me for months. I'd never seen a Muslim die like that. Usually there was fear, struggle, fighting against death. But Mary? She died like she was going home. I pushed the memory away. Called it coincidence. Brain chemistry. Endorphins. But I couldn't forget it. I kept going through the motions of being a good Muslim. Prayers. Fasting. Charity. All of it mechanical. Performed but not felt. My wife noticed. "Khalid, you seem distant lately," she'd say. "Just work stress," I'd tell her. But it wasn't work. It was the growing conviction that I'd spent 42 years believing something I wasn't sure was true. And then came the day everything changed. The day I died. And in those 85 minutes between life and death, I discovered that Mary was right. There is something after. And it's not what I'd been taught. If you've ever felt the emptiness beneath professional success, beneath religious performance, if you've wondered what really happens when we die, this story is for you. Please share it. Someone needs to hear what happened when I crossed that line between life and death and came back. Subscribe if you want to hear more testimonies like this. Because what I'm about to tell you defies medical explanation. But it's true. It was a Tuesday morning in March. Routine day. I was observing a cardiac catheterization procedure, teaching a resident the technique. And then I felt it. The crushing pain in my chest, radiating down my left arm, up into my jaw. I knew immediately what it was. Myocardial infarction. Heart attack. I'm having an MI, I said calmly to my resident, even as my vision started to blur. Call the code team. Now. I heard her shouting into the intercom. Heard running footsteps. Saw concerned faces gathering around me. And then, nothing. What happened next, I only learned later from my colleagues. My heart stopped. Complete cardiac arrest. They started CPR immediately. Shocked me with the defibrillator. Once. Twice. 3 times. Nothing. 10 minutes passed. 20. 30. Medical protocol says to stop after 30 minutes. The chances of meaningful recovery dropped to nearly 0. But these were my colleagues. My friends. They couldn't give up. Dr. Nazir, who'd been my classmate in medical school, one more round. Please. They kept going. 40 minutes. 50. 60. 70. 80. At 85 minutes, impossibly, my heart restarted. But I wasn't unconscious during those 85 minutes. I was somewhere else. The moment my heart stopped, I felt myself separate. Like I'd been wearing a heavy coat my entire life and suddenly stepped out of it. I was above my body. Watching the resuscitation. I could see everything with perfect clarity. Dr. Nazir doing compressions. The resident crying. The nurse recording the time. I heard them talking, we're losing him. Keep going. It's been too long. But I felt no fear. No pain. No panic. Just freedom. It was incredible. And I knew exactly what was happening. There was no confusion. No fuzziness. I was being thrown out of that body. It was just so great. And then I was moving. Not walking or flying. Just moving through what felt like a tunnel of light. Ahead of me, something was pulling me forward. Not forcing me. Drawing me. Like gravity but warm. Welcoming. As I moved toward it, my life unfolded before me. Not like watching a movie. Like living it all again, but from outside myself. I saw every moment. Every choice. Every patient I'd saved. Every one I'd lost. I saw my arrogance. My pride in my skills. The way I'd look down on less educated people. I saw moments of kindness too. Times I'd stayed late with a patient's family. Times I'd prayed with someone before surgery, even though my prayers were empty. All of it laid bare. And I felt known. Completely known. Every thought. Every motive. Every secret. But I didn't feel judged. I felt loved. That's what undid me. Despite seeing all my failures, all my hypocrisy, all my religious performance without real faith, I felt loved. Loved by someone I hadn't expected to meet. Because ahead of me in the light, I saw a figure. A man. Though, man, doesn't do him justice. He was more. Radiant but not blinding. Powerful but not terrifying. And I knew who he was. Not Allah. Not Muhammad. Not any figure from Islam. Jesus. Isa al-Masih. But not the prophet we acknowledge in Islam. Not the messenger who pointed to Muhammad. Something infinitely more. Before I could process this, before I could react, I heard a voice breaking through the light. Distant but desperate. A woman's voice. My wife's voice. Jesus, if you're real, bring him back. Please? Jesus, bring him back. Layla? Praying to Jesus? And then I felt myself being pulled backward. away from the light, away from the presence, back toward weight and pain and the limitations of flesh. I didn't want to go, but I had no choice. I gasped, air flooding my lungs like fire, pain exploding through my chest, voices shouting, "We've got a rhythm. He's back." BP rising. 85 minutes. I can't believe it. I opened my eyes to fluorescent lights and masked faces and the reality of being back in my body. And the first words out of my mouth, before I could think, before I could filter. "Layla?" Jesus was there. Dr. Nazir leaned over me. "Khalid, you're in the hospital. You had a cardiac arrest. Just rest. You're going to be okay." But I wasn't okay. Because everything I'd believed about death was wrong. And someone I'd been taught was just a prophet had been more real than anything I'd ever experienced. I didn't know this at the time. But while I was dying, Layla was praying. She told me later what happened. And when she did, I understood why Jesus had brought me back. When the hospital called to say my husband had collapsed, I felt my world tilt. I grabbed my sister and raced to the hospital. Traffic was terrible. Every red light felt like torture. When we arrived, they took me to a waiting room. A doctor I didn't know, kind face, grave expression, told me, "Your husband had a massive heart attack. We're doing everything we can. Doing everything they can." That's what doctors say when there's no hope. My sister held me as I sobbed. The imam from the hospital came. Started leading Islamic prayers. Dua for the sick. Asking Allah to have mercy. Everyone around me was praying to Allah. And I went through the motions. Repeated the words I'd said 1,000 times. But I felt nothing. Just emptiness. After an hour, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to be alone. I walked the hospital hallways, numb, not knowing where I was going. And I found myself in a chapel. Small room. A few chairs. And at the front, a cross. I'd walked past this chapel 100 times, visiting Khalid at work. Never went in. Muslims don't go into Christian chapels. But now I walked in and collapsed into a chair. And I did something I'd never done in 15 years of marriage, 28 years of being Muslim. I prayed to Jesus. "Jesus," I whispered, tears streaming, "if you're real, if you're truly God like that Christian teacher told me. Bring my husband back. I'll follow you. I'll give you everything. Just bring him back." The prayer felt dangerous. Forbidden. Like I'd just committed the unforgivable sin, shirk, associating partners with Allah. But it also felt right. For the first time in my life, prayer didn't feel like reciting memorized words in a language I barely understood. It felt like talking to someone who was actually listening. I don't know how long I sat there. Maybe 10 minutes. Maybe an hour. Then my sister burst in, "Layla, the doctor wants to see you." I ran back to the waiting room. Dr. Nazir was there, his face a mixture of shock and exhaustion. "Mrs. Rahman, I don't know how to explain this. Your husband was in cardiac arrest for 85 minutes. We almost stopped. But his heart just restarted. He's alive. He's stable. It's a miracle. 85 minutes. I'd prayed to Jesus maybe 90 minutes ago. And in that moment, I knew. Not suspected. Not hoped. Knew. Jesus had answered. Jesus had brought my husband back from death. But I couldn't tell anyone. Not my sister. Not the imam. Not even Khalid, if he survived. Because admitting I'd prayed to Jesus? That was apostasy. That could cost me everything. So I thanked Dr. Nazir. Let my sister hug me. Let the imam praise Allah for the miracle. And I carried my secret like a stone in my chest. When they finally let Layla into my ICU room, I could barely keep my eyes open. Medications. Exhaustion. The trauma of being dead for 85 minutes. But I saw her face. And I knew. Somehow, I knew she'd prayed. "Layla," I whispered. She took my hand, tears streaming. "What happened?" she asked. I saw him. Jesus. He was there. Her eyes went wide. "Khalid, what are you saying?" "When I was gone, I wasn't unconscious. I was somewhere. And Jesus was there." She looked around quickly, making sure no one could hear. "Khalid, you're confused. The lack of oxygen." "I'm not confused. I know what I saw. And I heard you. Heard you praying. You prayed to Jesus." Her face went pale. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Both of us realizing we'd both encountered Jesus. Both of us terrified of what that meant. "We can't tell anyone," she whispered finally. "I know. But we both knew something else too. You can't unknow what you've learned. You can't meet who you've met. Jesus was real. And somehow, we'd have to figure out what to do about it." The medical team called my recovery a miracle. No brain damage after 85 minutes of cardiac arrest. That's unheard of. Impossible, really. Colleagues I'd worked with for decades were in awe. My father visited every day, tears of gratitude in his eyes. "Allah has great plans for you, my son. He spared you for a reason." I nodded. Said the right words. Let him believe Allah had saved me. But inside, I was fracturing. Because I knew the truth. And I couldn't say it. The first 2 weeks after leaving the hospital, I couldn't focus on anything except what had happened. I'd Google NDE, near-death experiences, late at night when Layla was asleep. I found hundreds of testimonies. Thousands. People from every religion and no religion describing the same thing. Leaving their bodies. Moving toward light. Encountering a presence of overwhelming love. And Muslims. So many Muslims. Describing meeting Jesus. Not Muhammad. Jesus. A Pakistani man who'd been a mosque leader. An Iranian woman who'd memorized Quran. A Saudi imam. All describing the same experience I'd had. Meeting Jesus on the other side of death. I found a Christian doctors forum. Sent a private message to a Coptic cardiologist. He responded immediately, "Brother, what you experienced is what the gospel teaches. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. Your near-death experience showed you reality." He offered to send me a Bible. I said yes, even though possessing a Bible could get me fired from my hospital position. It arrived in unmarked packaging. I hid it in my medical bag. And I started reading. Late at night. In secret. John chapter 14, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Those were Jesus' own words. Not the Quran's version of Jesus, just a prophet, superseded by Muhammad. But Jesus' actual words, "I am the way." Not a way. The way. Meanwhile, Layla was on her own journey. I didn't know it at the time, but she was doing the same thing I was. Watching Christian testimonies on YouTube with headphones, volume low. Reading apologetics about why Muslims convert to Christianity. Listening to worship songs that made her cry for reasons she didn't understand. We were both seeking Jesus. But we were hiding it from each other. Until the night I went to the kitchen for water and found her there at 2 a.m. Her phone on the table. A Bible app open. Gospel of Matthew. Our eyes met. And in that moment, all the pretending shattered. "You're reading the Injil," I said quietly. "You said his name. When you woke up. You said Jesus was there." "I did. I prayed to him." Her voice broke. "While you were dying. I prayed to Jesus. And he brought you back." I sat down across from her. took her hands. I saw him, Layla. Really saw him. And he wasn't who we were taught. He wasn't just a prophet. He was more. Everything. She started crying. What do we do? If your father finds out? If anyone finds out? I know. We sat there in our kitchen,
We both believed
holding
he was
hands,
who he claimed
both
to
of us
be.
realizing the magnitude
And that
of what
belief
was
would
happening.
cost us everything.
We'd both
Do you
encountered
believe?
Jesus. I asked her. She nodded. I do. After he answered my prayer. After what happened to you? Khalid, I can't not believe. He's real. So what do we do? I don't know. But we can't go back. We can't pretend we don't know. She was right. You can't unknow truth. But we also couldn't tell anyone. Not yet. We needed to understand what we'd found before we could face what it would cost. The Christian doctor put us in touch with an underground house church. Small group. Maybe 15 people. All secret believers. Muslims who'd found Jesus and were navigating the cost. We attended in disguise. Told our families we were going to medical conferences. And in that little gathering, we were baptized. Not publicly. In secret. In someone's bathtub. But as I went under the water and came up, I felt it again. That presence from the near-death experience. Jesus. With me. In me. Real. We thought we could live this way. Secretly following Jesus. Publicly being Muslim. But we were wrong. Because my father announced I would give testimony at the mosque. About the miracle of my survival. About Allah's mercy. And we had to decide, would we lie? Or would we tell the truth and face the consequences? This will be a great honor for our family, my father said, joy in his voice. The Imam has asked you to give your testimony at Jumu'ah prayer next Friday. The entire community wants to hear how Allah spared you. I felt my stomach drop. Layla looked at me across the dinner table, eyes wide with fear. Baba, I don't think I'm ready to speak publicly yet, I tried. Nonsense. It's been 3 months. You're fully recovered. This is your duty, Khalid. To testify to Allah's mercy. To strengthen the faith of others. Surely you don't want to hide such a powerful testimony. Every word was a trap. If I refused, I'd be questioned. Suspected. If I agreed and lied, I'd deny Jesus. But if I told the truth, I need to think about it, I said finally. My father's smile faded. Think about it? What's there to think about? This is an honor. I've already told the Imam you'll do it. That night, Layla and I barely slept. What are we going to do? She whispered. I don't know. If I tell the truth, your father will disown you. The hospital will fire you. The community will shun us. I know. But if you lie about Jesus, after he brought you back, she couldn't finish the sentence. We lay there in the darkness, the weight of the decision crushing us. Finally, I said what we both knew, I can't deny him. Not after what he did. Not after what I saw. I know. Neither can I. Then we tell the truth. We tell the truth. We spent the next few days in fasting and prayer. Not Islamic fasting. Christian prayer. Asking Jesus for courage. For wisdom. For strength to face what was coming. We told our children. Amira, 16, was shocked. You're not Muslim anymore. We are followers of Jesus Christ, Layla said gently. We believe he is who he claimed to be, God in flesh, Savior of the world. But what about Jado? What about the family? We're going to lose them, I said honestly. And we're sorry for the pain this will cause you. But we can't deny what we've experienced. Our daughter looked between us. Will we be safe? We don't know, Layla admitted. But we know Jesus is with us. And that has to be enough. Thursday night, the night before I was scheduled to speak, I couldn't eat. Layla held my hand. Whatever happens tomorrow, we're together. And Jesus is with us. I nodded. But I was terrified. Friday morning came too quickly. We got ready in silence. I put on my best thobe. Layla wore hijab. We looked like the perfect Muslim family. But we were about to shatter that image forever. At the mosque, people greeted me warmly. Congratulated me on my recovery. Asked about my health. My father beamed with pride, introducing me to elders and community leaders. My son, the doctor whom Allah saved. He will tell us all about it today. The khutbah began. The Imam spoke about divine mercy. About how Allah chooses whom to save. Then he called me to the minbar, the pulpit. I climbed the steps, legs shaking. Looked out at hundreds of faces. Men I'd known my whole life. My father in the front row, pride radiating from him. In the women's section, I could see Layla's silhouette. Praying. And I knew, this was it. The moment that would change everything. I opened my mouth. And I told the truth. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I began with the traditional Islamic invocation. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. My father smiled. The congregation leaned forward, eager to hear. 3 months ago, I died, I said. For 85 minutes, my heart did not beat. Medical science says I should not be standing here. But I am. And I do have a testimony to share. Nods around the room. People expected me to praise Allah, to speak of Islamic miracles. I have spent my life as a Muslim. Son of an Imam. Student of Quran. A man who prayed 5 times daily and fasted every Ramadan. I believed I was serving God. More nods. My father's smile growing. But when I died, when I left my body and stood between this world and the next, I did not meet who I expected to meet. The smiling stopped. People looked confused. I did not meet Allah. I did not meet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I did not meet angels who would question me. My father's face went pale. I met Jesus Christ. The mosque erupted. Gasps. Shouts. People standing up. What is he saying? Has he lost his mind? This is blasphemy. My father staggered like he'd been struck. But I kept speaking, voice rising above the noise. Jesus Christ, whom we are taught is merely a prophet, revealed himself to me as God. Not a messenger. Not a teacher. But the way, the truth, and the life itself. Security was moving toward me now. And it was my wife's prayer to Jesus that brought me back. While you were praying to Allah, she prayed to Jesus. And Jesus answered. Stop him. Get him away from the minbar. But I had to finish. I cannot stand here and tell you Allah saved me when it was Jesus who did. I cannot deny the one who showed me love I'd never known. Jesus Christ is Lord. And I will follow him even if it costs me everything. Hands grabbed me. Pulled me away from the pulpit. My father was standing now, face twisted with shock and shame. The Imam was shouting about apostasy, about blasphemy, about how I desecrated the mosque. In the chaos, I saw Layla being escorted out by women, some shouting at her, accusing her of corrupting me. Security pushed me out the main doors. My father followed. Khalid, he whispered, and I'd never heard such pain in his voice. What have you done? Baba, I had to tell the truth. Truth? He was trembling. You have destroyed this family. Everything I've built. Our reputation. Our honor. For what? For a Christian lie? It's not a lie. I saw him. Jesus is real, Baba. He's God. And he loves. Stop. My father held up his hand. I don't want to hear this. You are no longer my son. You are murtad. Apostate. Dead to me. Dead to this family. Do you understand? We have no son named Khalid. He turned his back and walked away. Family members filed past, some spitting at my feet, others just shaking their heads. My younger brother, you've shamed us all. My sister, how could you? Only my mother paused, tears streaming, but she said nothing. Just looked at me with such sadness before following my father. Within an hour, it was all over social media. Dr. Khalid Rahman publicly renounces Islam. Imam's son commits apostasy at Friday prayer. Hospital investigating doctor who claimed Jesus, not Allah, saved him. By evening, I'd lost my position at the hospital. Muslim funded, they couldn't keep an apostate on staff. Our extended family cut all contact. Blocked our numbers. Told the children they were no longer welcome. Our children were harassed at school. Called kafir. Traitors. We were alone. Everything we'd feared had happened. We'd lost our family. Our community. Our careers. Our reputation. Everything. But that night, gathered in our living room, me, Layla, and our 3 children, something unexpected happened. Our daughter Amira spoke. Baba, Mama. I want to know this Jesus you're willing to lose everything for. And we wept. 2 years have passed since that Friday at the mosque. 2 years since my father disowned me. 2 years since we lost everything. And I wouldn't change a single thing. Let me tell you where we are now. We had to relocate for safety. We still live in the Middle East, but in a different city where we're not known. I work at a small Christian medical clinic now, serving refugees and the poor. The pay is a fraction of what I earned before. But the work feels more meaningful than anything I did as a prestigious cardiologist. Layla volunteers at a ministry that helps Muslim women who are questioning their faith. She meets with them secretly, shares her testimony, walks them through the same journey she walked. Our 3 children, all of them have been baptized now. Publicly. Proudly. They've lost their grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. But they've gained brothers and sisters in Christ from nations all over the world. Amira, now 18, is studying to become a missionary. I want to tell other Muslims about Jesus, she says. I want them to know he's worth it. My mother sends occasional messages through a sympathetic cousin. Short. Careful. But they reveal she's softening. I still pray for you, she wrote once. Though I'm not sure anymore to whom I should pray. My father died last year. Heart attack. I wasn't told until after the funeral. I'll never know if he regretted disowning me. If he ever questioned. If, in his final moments, he thought about what I'd said. That grief is still raw. But I trust Jesus with it. Because here's what I've learned in these 2 years. I died twice. Once on that operating table, clinically dead for 85 minutes. And once when I walked out of that mosque and lost my old life. Both times, Jesus brought resurrection. The first time, he brought me back to physical life so I could testify about him. The second time, he brought me into spiritual life more abundant than anything I'd known. I counsel other medical professionals now, doctors, nurses, healthcare workers who've seen things that make them question their Islamic faith. Just last month, a Muslim surgeon approached me. I heard what happened to you. I've been having dreams about Jesus. Can we talk? I'm mentoring him now. Walking him through the same questions I had. The same fears. The same cost. Because the cost is real. I won't lie about that. Following Jesus cost me my father. My extended family. My career. My reputation. My place in society. But here's what I gained. I gained the truth. I gained freedom from religious performance. I gained a relationship with God based on love, not fear. I gained a wife who is truly my partner in faith, not just my partner in social convention. I gained children who chose Jesus freely, not through cultural inheritance. I gained brothers and sisters from every nation who love me unconditionally. And I gained Jesus himself. The one I met between life and death. The one who is life itself. If you're watching this and you're Muslim, if you've been having doubts, asking questions, maybe even having dreams about Jesus, I want you to know something. He's real. He's not who Islam taught us he was. He's not just a prophet. He's not just a messenger. He's God in flesh. The way, the truth, the life. And he's calling you. Not to a religion. To a relationship. Not to works. To grace. Not to fear. To love. Yes, it will cost you. Maybe everything. But he's worth it. I died and met him. And I'd die 1,000 times more just to meet him again. Because once you've encountered Jesus, really encountered him, nothing else compares. He's worth your reputation. Worth your family. Worth your career. Worth your life. Because he is life. And he's waiting for you. My name is Dr. Khalid Rahman. I died for 85 minutes. My wife prayed to Jesus. And he brought me back. Not just to life, but to life himself. And if you call on him, really call on him, he'll answer you too. I promise. Because he promised. And he keeps his promises.